just wanted to show you this as well.
About me? I didn't even fight last night. It's Dana.
Do you have any updates about the eye of Tom Aspinall, and is there a rematch in the works?
Oh, Jesus. Don't let me talk about Tom Aspinall's eye. Apparently he's going in for a second surgery or just had it, and by surgery, I mean injections. I have no idea. Get a quote from him. God forbid I say something about it. Go ahead.
Dana.
Jeez.
How close did you think you were to...
Here's your quote.
Catching strays, aren't I? Catching strays in my own living room on a Sunday morning. Right. That's this one done.
So listen up, because next week brings the preliminaries, and when I cross that threshold again, when I'm back competing, that calm, collected individual you see on the outside vanishes completely. Because once I enter that zone, something entirely different emerges and dominates.
The reports are out. The UFC asked Tom Aspinall to vacate the title until he was ready to go. And he said he'd be willing to vacate the title as long as they released it. Now, that opens the door so he can go ahead and box. This is a really weird situation. The heavyweight division is just a total shit show right now. And it's been a shit show since the John Jones coming in, not wanting to fight, the interim champion, which was Tom Aspinall at the time, and then fighting Stipe. No disrespect to Stipe, but it was just, John had something in mind, and the UFC didn't squash that. They allowed that fight to happen, and it just led into this thing where the heavyweight division's been on hold since the John Jones, what do we call it? Bottom line is, Jailton Almeida is gone. Okay, they just released him. Tom Aspinall, if he is gone, John Jones doesn't seem like he's coming back, especially not to the heavyweight division. We have a mess. We have a disaster on our hands. The heavyweight division and the 205-pound division, the light heavyweight division, both weight classes are the worst that they've ever been. And these used to be the pillars. This used to be what would carry the promotion. When the merger of Strikeforce and the UFC happened, the heavyweight division had ever been. And the light heavyweight division, honestly, the UFC was built off of the light heavyweight division. This is wild to me, man. The 135, 145, 155, and 170 right now are of MMA and definitely carrying the UFC. More to come.
Right, and I'm not defending Tom because I'm a friend of his, and I don't really even talk to Tom very much. We're not even friends like that. I was always an admirer of Tom's work, and I believed in his potential. A lot of people are talking shit because I get Cyril.
Tom Aspinall represents more than just fighting passion. It goes deeper than simple promises. What's unfolding before our eyes is an incredible explosion of skill and power. You really believe he's chasing money? If that's your take, you're completely missing what drives a true fighter like this. Someone with his rare combat intelligence combined with devastating force isn't begging for opportunities. Claiming victories means facing hard truths. A genuine champion's toughest battle happens far from the Octagon. It's a relentless war against the system. Once the UFC addresses this situation properly, once they handle Tom Aspinall correctly, you'll understand exactly why he's destined to not just succeed, but completely dominate the heavyweight landscape.
To say, whoa, never mind the fight, I can't see. And then the crowd turned on him. And then this is where a lot of people are saying that he's milking it. Okay, after the fight, they showed footage at the hospital and getting looked at by the doctors, and everyone was like, oh, you're milking it. And then I'm going to go through some of the comments on Twitter in a minute. The same kind of thing there, right? And maybe he was, right? Maybe there was a little truth to that, because I understand it, by the way, because he wants to show the world, hold on a minute, I'm the victim here. I'm the guy that got poked in the eye. I'm not the person out there that's committing the fouls. I had two fingers.
You saw the crowd turn.
This endless chatter about being mistreated, that's the real struggle champions deal with constantly. When you play victim in that environment, when you try controlling a narrative that's already stacked against you, you've lost the winner's mentality completely. This mindset reveals the fierce, relentless, conquering spirit of a true champion. Now pay attention, you're campaigning for your UFC exit. Look at you, this is how you're acting since your return.
Let's run it back. And I was dying to, because the fight was a close fight. And yeah, Tom's nose was busted up, and Cyril Gane was looking really good. But as fans, is that not what we want? Do we not want to see exciting fights? Do we not want to see back and forth competitive matchup?
You were beaten up, damaged. Sometimes you got dominated in there, but here's what you need to acknowledge. You absolutely loved every single moment of that intense back and forth, didn't you? That raw, pure display of fighting determination impacts you on a visceral level and truly reveals who belongs in this savage arena. But let me burn this crucial concept into your consciousness while you're celebrating, champion. A fighter like Tom Aspinall constantly calculates the real cost. He sees beyond the immediate applause, the temporary cheers and glory. Fighting intelligence isn't just about winning rounds or landing devastating blows. It's understanding the harsh absolute truth of every single scar, every brain injury, every permanent cost to your body and mind. So when you witness a complete stand down, understand this fact. It shows zero weakness. Actually, it's often the smartest move from a warrior who truly understands his value and knows precisely when the game isn't worth the ultimate price. He's already seen past the next bloody nose, the next swollen eye, the next painful recovery, and honestly,
we want to see legendary matchups as fans. We want to see good matchmaking. We want to see two guys that are the best in the world going toe to toe and pushing each other to the limit. And that's what we saw, right? It was a competitive match.
listen, the fans, you want legendary battles, incredible rare spectacles where you watch fighters push to their absolute physical and mental limits. But here's the brutal truth for the warrior. That edge often lands them straight in the hospital. For someone like Tom Aspinall, it's the burning desire for a different kind of challenge, a test he feels the current system denies him. A truly elite fighter grows through chances to defeat not just his opponent, but the limitations imposed by the organization itself. That, my friends, is exactly why he demands freedom. You need to grasp this fundamental concept. His most dangerous enemy isn't inside the octagon, it's the cage itself, the restrictive system that blocks his advancement. This situation,
a lot of the public fan base has had to say, now granted, this is on Twitter, right? And we know Twitter is a bit of a cesspool of negativity and toxicity, right? I'm sure if we looked at the Instagram comments, it'd be a little more positive. But look at these guys. First of all, Grok, is this real? Come on, man. You really think the heavyweight champion of the world is out there? He's going to fake something like this? He's going to put some, like, I don't know, eye drops in his eyes and be playing a whole stunt? No, we all saw the eye pokes. We all saw the aftermath. We all saw the fallout. We all saw the appointments with the doctors. And now we're seeing 4 months later the fact that he's had surgery.
you witnessed it personally, right? That horrible break, that agony-inducing moment. Those long, painful months of recovery that followed, the invasive surgery, the brutal rehabilitation, and yet you sit there calmly spouting garbage about cons, about deception, about a fighter faking it. This isn't some movie set where injuries are manufactured and pain is performed for cameras. This is a man's entire life, his real career, his body, his future, all threatened every single second inside that savage arena. This is reality. A champion bleeds for every ounce of their existence devoted to the sport, and then what happens? Such brutal disrespect from the outside, such crushing indifference. This is exactly why someone like Tom Aspinall feels this way, why he's pushed to his limit, and why he demands more. A warrior begins questioning everything. It's not just the broken bones, the physical damage that destroys, it's the completely shattered trust. The profound psychological wound felt when you give your entire self, your complete future to this savage sport only for the world, for the system to brutally dismiss your sacrifice as fake and fraudulent. That, dear friends, is a special torturous kind of damage. It breaks the soul in ways no fractured bone ever could. It makes you question everything. Is any of this real? Is my courage genuine? That's exactly where a warrior's true character forms, whether they continue the fight. Tom Aspinall understands and sees the enormous weight this complete impact carries.
That he didn't even do. If anything, people should be more pissed at Cyril gone, and then underneath that, Tommy's milking this shit, but hey, it is what it is. He wanted out of the UFC and got his chance. Now he'll sue for a few mil, and that will be that. And we can go on all day, we can go through it, but you get the general consensus, you know? I mean, fake, they said, right, I don't know. Listen, at the end of the day, these guys are talking out their arse. What do you mean he wanted out? This man has worked his way up. The man became the interim heavyweight champion of the world by stepping up on short notice and taking out Sergey Pavlovich.
You've heard those rumors, haven't you? That damaging talk circulating, claiming Tom Aspinall wants to leave the UFC. Let me say this with complete certainty. You're absolutely wrong. That isn't remotely a fighter's mindset. This is a man who stepped into battle with basically no warning, confronted a genuine beast like Pavlovich, and then against all odds claimed the interim belt from his grasp with incredible style. That's not someone looking for an exit. That, my friends, is a hunter constantly pursuing its prey. A competitor might chase a better deal, might want an easier path. A champion like Aspinall is driven by pure killer instinct, the undisputed championship. This isn't about escaping the Octagon. Absolutely not. It's about conquering it, owning every inch of that space. You need to embed this truth deep in your mind. Real winners don't want to leave. They hunger for the next fight. They want every battle, every piece of glory, and all the undisputed recognition that follows.
And that's what he's done to the majority of his opponents. And yeah, you know, he had a couple of things that week with the DC and saying he was going to boxing and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, the fight was looking like a really, really good one. Now, I was excited for the rematch, and there's still been no talk of a rematch. Because, of course, there hasn't. How can you have a rematch when one half of the matchup is still going through medical clearance, still trying to get his vision back? And in fact, if you read out the actual statement from the doctor, this was an Instagram post, and this is what was written, but it was like written in third person. I think Tom shared it or something like that. It says, after his highly publicized eye poke injury.
Simply dismissing rematch talks to brush off his concerns. This isn't just about scheduling or logistics. This, my friends, is about the Octagon stealing a man's vision. Yes, you heard correctly. He's waiting for medical clearance and the diagnosis is clear. His eyesight is damaged. This is no act, no dramatic performance. This is a harsh, undeniable price he's paying. This is exactly why Tom Aspinall seeks a path with absolutely no... This fight takes everything a warrior has to give. Confront this harsh reality, it's beyond question. It must be burned into your mind forever. Fighters battle, but champions survive. However, every single warrior, no matter their strength, has a limit. When the stakes aren't just one injury, but an entire life potentially destroyed by failing vision, everything changes. The focus is no longer just on the title. This is about choosing your destiny, about protecting your future before the cage permanently blinds you. That, my friends, is the cold hard logic behind seeking escape from the system.
Working closely with him on his recovery. Following his operation on both eyes, we continue the journey to get Tom's vision back to fighting fitness, right? Now, let's talk about that. What is fighting fitness? Well, I know this very well. The benchmark for having fighting fitness is 2200.
A 2200 vision measurement, a cold objective gauge of a fighter's combat readiness. But don't let yourself be fooled by that clinical figure. That number represents more than simple eyesight. It's the precise indicator that truly shows the serious hidden damage, which is pushing a person like Tom Aspinall to seek an exit, to choose a different path. He's not just trying to fix his vision, he's recognizing the real profound cost of remaining in that ring, of continuing to compete when his future is threatened. And this is exactly what separates warriors, what divides the decent from the truly elite. Every fighter wants the fame, the spotlight, the moment of victory. Every champion lives for it, fights and dies for the dominance, but the truly great ones possessing sharp, undeniable combat wisdom, they understand that sometimes a powerful fighter's best move is knowing when to stop, when to strategically retreat for a bigger win. You have in personal defeat, Tom is not simply leaving, he's considering a winner's choice, a calculated
2200 vision. All you gotta get is the top letter, the big old massive one, and then the two relatively big ones underneath that. If you can read those three letters, you have 2200 vision. I know this because I cheated the eye test many times to go on and have my legendary career, where I did end up in the Hall of Fame and with a few belts and stuff like that, right? So I know what I'm talking about. So to get Tom's vision back to fighting fitness means he's got to have 2200 vision.
Some believe that real champions maintain perfect vision even in chaos, that they're somehow immune to physical limitations. False. That's just fantasy. Real warriors see only what matters. They fight through the blur. They overcome the handicap. They force victory through sheer will, because that's the absolute core requirement for any fighter in this brutal game. So when Aspinall talks about sight and vision, you need to really ask yourself, given this context, is it truly his physical eyesight he's discussing, or is it his unwavering focus, his mental strength, This isn't about perfect vision, it's about fighting wisdom, that deep instinctive understanding of combat, and that fierce warrior drive that carries you past every physical limitation, every bodily constraint. If you want an out when the fight truly demands greater concentration, requires deeper commitment, then you, my friend, are no champion. You're just an opponent who at some moment abandoned that fundamental desire to win.
Online would say to me that the operation has been a success. So now it just is a matter of time before Tom to rest up, to heal from the surgery, and then come back and rematch Cyril Gane. But how long will that be? Because the one thing that you can't do, and I've said this in multiple other videos, you cannot rush this. When you rush back too soon, things can go wrong. When you operate on something, you weaken it. Anytime you go in there and drill or cut and slice and mess about with it, you weaken it. So you have to allow it a lot of time to restore, to heal 100%.
Think about this reality. Every injury you heal from, every brutal training session you endure, it saps your strength, it weakens your core, and if you dare come back too soon, if you rush the healing, you don't just risk defeat in one fight, you risk destroying your entire career. This, my friends, is no simple game. It's the harsh, unforgiving fight for your profession's survival. This profound understanding explains why Tom Aspinall's desire for freedom burns so fiercely. He's more than just a fighter. He's a brilliantly sharp tactician, and he knows exactly what's at stake. Fighting against the system isn't just about one defeat, one bad decision. It's about protecting his entire legacy, his complete reputation. When the organization forces you to compete below full capacity, you need to seriously ask, are you actually winning or just becoming a victim to the sport?
Ignore all the negative comments on Twitter and Instagram and all these dickheads online, because they don't know what they're talking about at the end of the day. You'll be back at some point. I look forward to it. I look forward to the rematch with Cyril Gane, and then you'll get used to all this shit again. Everyone coming out the woodwork and talking crap. Anyway, what do you guys think about everything that I just said? What do you think about Tom's situation? Do you think they're going to bring in an interim champion? Is it going to be Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira, something like that? I really don't know. But what do you think? As I say, always say, let me know in the comment section and subscribe.
You talk about...
You're probably thinking someone else is gaining a future, stealing his position, but my friend, you're missing the entire point completely. It's the brutal, soul-crushing reality of a caged fighter, injured, forced to watch your whole division move, grow, and progress without you. That more than anything is why he's talking about freedom, a warrior's heart, that unbreakable will simply can't sit still, can't be benched indefinitely, and here's the harsh truth you're totally missing. Sometimes the real fighter's spirit isn't about confronting the next opponent in the octagon. It's about recognizing when something, whether it's an injury or a corrupt system, stops your rise entirely. Do you really think the UFC wants an injured, angry fighter kept permanently on the bench? No, this isn't a desperate cry from a beaten man. It's a calculated strategic move from a man who completely understands his worth, who grasps his place in this savage business. You need to sear that into your consciousness.
When you're fighting the best people on the planet. So it's not that he was looking for a way out, it's that he got double poked in the eye. And now, as we say, here we are 4 months later, the man has had surgery. Not one, apparently he's had 2, right? And you can see the damage on the eyeballs, right? Anytime they mess with the eyes, I've had multiple eye surgeries, right? I lost my retina. You all know this story by now if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen this shit, right? Yeah, I lost an eyeball and I had a lot of surgery.
You witnessed it, didn't you? Those weren't just eye pokes, they weren't just minor injuries that showed the vicious, brutal damage reaching deep into a man's optic nerve, ready to permanently destroy his entire career. You speak about a warrior's determination, his true heart, but what value is bravery? What use is an unbreakable will if your primary weapon, your actual sight, is seriously and permanently damaged? Do you really think that's a coward attempting to run? Wrong. That's an elite level natural ability. A lifetime's complete dedication, potentially ruined by impaired vision. When the cage takes and demands everything, when it threatens to steal your ability to see, you absolutely deserve to claim your freedom, to reclaim your future. The UFC needs to pay immediate attention when a fighter's sight is truly at risk, not just their next bout, but their entire existence as a human being.